Spider-Man, Spider-Man can do anything a spider can.
You can't even get the song right.
Yeah, man.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out! Here comes a Spider-Man.
Well, there's one thing I can do right, and that's welcome to Random Conflux.
Yep.
And with that little intro, we're going to be talking about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
In case you couldn't guess.
Yeah.
Not typically just the everyday, ordinary, your neighborhood Spider-Man, or the movie that's coming out. Just Spider-Man in general.
Yeah.
With that, let's do intros.
I'm Zach.
I'm John.
I'm Soren.
And I'm Matt.
And
Lexi.
Lexi, say hi.
Hi.
Yeah, we got Matt's kids with us here to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, Lexi and Soren are my kids, and we're going to talk about Spider-Man in general. So, one of the things to bring up, okay, I think that would be a good way to start. Who is your favorite Spider-Man and why? Soren, you go first.
Miles Morales.
Why?
He can turn invisible.
Mm-hmm.
I love the style of his suit, especially in Spider-Verse.
Mm-hmm.
He can do. He has electricity powers, and I just love it.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Lacrosse. Which one's your favorite Spider-Man?
Let me think here.
Okay, we'll come back around to you.
Okay.
Okay, Zach, do you know your favorite Spider-Man?
Yeah, the original 2099 Spider-Man.
Okay, so me and you have the same favorite Spider-Man.
Not necessarily. The 2099 Spider-Man that I'm thinking of is from the Ultimate Spider-Man. From the 90s.
Okay, well, in the 90s, there was a comic, the comic series called 2099. And I own the Unlimited comic where it first introduced the 2099 Spider-Man and the 2099 Hulk. That was called 2099 Unlimited. Okay, and then they came out with each of them having their own run and everybody had their own run. That is the 2099 one that I'm talking about.
Yep.
That's the beginning, the first 2099 one. So what are you talking about?
I'm talking about the cartoon where Peter Parker is the 2099 Spider-Man.
That's Spider-Man Unlimited.
Spider-Man Unlimited. That's not 2099.
That's
Nope.
that is a cool Spider-Man though.
That's Spider-Man
That's the
Unlimited
one
where he has
that-
the nanite suit
Yeah.
and all that, and he goes to the alternate Earth.
My question is, what is the nanite suit?
Well, the idea is kind of like in Infinity War when Iron Man had a suit that was made up of a bunch of little tiny robots. Those robots are called nanites that help him build and move his suit. Okay.
Oh yeah,
and they
yeah.
In
Yeah, and
Unlimited, they came out of Peter Parker's watch.
Yeah.
Okay. And in Infinity War, they came out of the arc reactor he placed on his chest.
Yeah.
Now, how about you, Lexi? What's your favorite Spider-Man?
Miles Morales.
Cool.
So you like Miles Morales too? Okay.
Because he's
Okay.
like awesome. Because I have a poster of mine got ripped because it was garbage, but also he was like swinging on webs that were floating. I think.
Well, she's saying that she liked him because she had a poster that unfortunately got ripped and had to be thrown in the garbage.
Yeah.
But we got a new poster later, and it shows him swinging on it. It shows him swinging on it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, anyways, Lacrosse. Have you got a chance to think about yours?
I still like the classic one, like from the old '90s cartoon. Just something nostalgic like that.
Okay. So your typical Amazing Spider-Man
Yeah.
from the '90s cartoon, which
Simple, but
an interesting fact about that actor.
Is actually someone that DC brought over for Young Justice, one of the newest seasons on HBO.
Mm-hmm.
Which is now just called Max.
Yeah.
And he played someone called Black Spider, which was an assassin for the League of Shadows. And even DC themselves and the voice actor said it was a ripoff of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Peter Parker Spider-Man.
Speaking of that voice actor, I think it was Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions that had all the different Spider-Man in it.
Yes.
He played Spider-Man Noir.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
He
but
was-
he also played the original 90s Spider-Man.
What?
Yeah.
What is Spider-Man Noir?
Okay, you played Shattered Dimensions before. That was the one where it was the black and white Spider-Man. Everything was in black and white. Yeah, because you remember you played Shattered Dimensions a long time ago. It had the 4 different Spider-Man in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you played on my PS3 when I loaned you guys my PS3
Yeah,
a while
Yes.
back. Yeah.
On the PS3, yep. And on the 360.
Yeah.
Yep.
But one
was
of the
my favorite.
reasons why I liked the Spider-Man Unlimited was it kind of gave me an idea for a certain topic that, or a certain way to do a certain thing for a show that I'm writing a script for.
Yeah.
Okay. So it inspired you to do your own custom stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, for me, the reason why I was so into the original 2099, and I'm clarifying that because from all intents and purposes that I can tell, and not that I have a problem with this, I think his name is it Mike O'Hara? Is that the name? Or no, Miguel O'Hara? Okay, Miguel O'Hara. That's his name. Okay, Miguel O'Hara is the name of 2099 Spider-Man. Okay, and in that he was originally. Anyways, as I was saying about Miguel O'Hara, originally he was portrayed as he had Caucasian skin and kind of twisty blonde hair, and you know it's obvious that he has some kind of different ethnicity from his name, from his hair, and so on and so forth. But it seems like they made him darker skinned with black twisty hair in the new Spider-Verse coming out. Not sure why. Maybe they wanted to diversify a little bit more. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But when I say the original, I'm just intending the comics version. Okay? And in the comics, I really liked the enemies that he came up against. Like one of the first enemies, don't remember their name. It was probably something simple like Shapeshifter or Changer or something like that. As an enemy that he adapted to everything that he did. So eventually, the longer you fought him, the more he adapted to you because he was a scientist that put a bunch of animal DNA into his body. So, for example, you punch him in the jaw, he gets back up and suddenly his jaw's hard and has spikes all over it like a fish from the sea.
So kind of like combining Doomsday and Taskmaster.
Yes. Okay, and he eventually, after the first drag-out fight that him and Spider-Man had, he had completely adapted to Spider-Man where Spider-Man couldn't do anything against him. I can't even remember how they originally solved the fight against him, but it was a very interesting thing, and I loved seeing the different enemies that would come up against Miguel O'Hara. So,
on a completely unrelated note, I am looking at Lexi playing The Sims because she's next to us, and she's making some awesome-looking Sims right now.
yes, she is.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Anyways, we had a little bit of a hiccup. Something tried to do something to my computer, so I had to pause and do some on-the-fly editing.
Your computer's possessed, that's all it is.
Demonic possession, or demonetization, as my daughter likes to say.
Yes.
Okay. And here's another one. What's your favorite Spider-Man story arc and or movie and or show? Now, I would like to go ahead and clarify. I do not know the name of this arc, but in the comics, and it happened after the Tobey Maguire movie did, there was a time where Iron Man was hunting down Spider-Man. Okay, it was after the whole Civil War event had happened. Okay, and he was still trying to enforce the Superhuman Registration Act, the Shira Accords. Okay, and he was trying to find Spider-Man. Spider-Man had recently switched from, he started to get internal webbing, and he hadn't really tested it to its fullest extent. Well, at the end of this issue where Iron Man's tracking him down, he's saying to himself, like internally as you're reading the thought bubbles on the page, I wonder what would happen if I just went all out and let everything go. He puts both hands forward, almost Kamehameha-like, and just closes his eyes and releases all the webbing that he possibly can. Right at Iron Man, who's following him down this side alley kind of thing. He opens his eyes a moment later, and his eyes are really big. You turn the page, and the final panel is one big spread, and you can kind of see Iron Man's arc reactor and eyes and his initial shape, but the entire streetway is just filled with webbing. Just filled and just absolutely wrapped up. There's webbing everywhere, and you can kind of see Iron Man shape, more or less. But yeah, he ain't getting out of that anytime soon.
There's a joke I can make, but that
No.
we need monetized.
No. Anyways,
No.
But
so
that also goes with saying that Spider-Man is also the strongest superhero of all time.
No, he's not the strongest. He is stronger. He's a lot stronger than average, though.
Well, technically, to Marvel, and this has been placed in an actual Spider-Man comic, Spider-Man is the strongest superhero in the world.
okay, hold on a second. Because you have to look at the definition of strong. I know what you're talking about. I know the comic you're talking about. But it's not what people are going to initially hear. They're going to hear that and go, oh, so he's physically stronger than the Hulk. Oh, so he's physically stronger than Galactus. Oh, he's physically stronger than Thanos. That's not what they're meaning to say. What that means by him being the strongest, he can handle cosmic energy unlike any other being. Better than the Hulk, better than Red Hulk, better than Galactus, better than the Silver Surfer. That's why we have the Cosmic Spider arc that happens. He can physically be stronger than the Hulk when he needs to be, but it pushes his body to an extreme limit. Now, he's not World Breaker strong, but he's stronger than Grey Hulk. He's stronger than Joe Fix-It, Mr. Fix-It. He's stronger than Savage Hulk, okay? He can handle the Hulk depending on the version is. Like, he can't take on Smart Hulk, he can't take on World Breaker when it comes strength to strength, toe to toe. But on top of that, still being strongest, his intelligence is nigh unmatched, okay? He's one of the smartest people on the planet. Only think people like Reed Richards, Tony Stark, depending on the version, and Amadeus Cho can even come close to his intellect, okay? At one point in time, he completely takes over the Fantastic Four's tower and industries and turns it into Parker Industries, and that leads down an alternate timeline where back in the 90s during your lacrosse, the 90s animated series, where he was Armored Spider. Before we ever had an Iron Spider, look up Armored Spider, where he's like silver and black armored, and his identity was out there like Tony's was.
I remember you saying that's actually one of your favorite Spider-Man, even though it's voted as one of the worst.
Yeah, people didn't like it, but I loved that design. I used to have a figure from it. I always thought Armored Spider was so cool, and Iron Spider is probably like my second or third favorite, which I'm sorry to branch off. I know you all want to talk, but everybody needs to look this up. Miles Morales is getting his own Iron Spider suit. They've already released the pages of it, of what the covers of it, of what it's going to look like. It's gold, black, and red, and has 4 spider arms.
That sounds awesome.
It's really cool. I'm going to show you guys real quick, and we'll try to throw a picture of it in the video. But yeah.
Oh, that looks sweet.
Can I see?
That's what Miles Morales' Iron Suit's going to look like.
That's
And
awesome.
from
Yeah, check that out.
oh, that is
So we'll
sick.
try to throw a picture of that in the video if we can.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think that'll be an issue because that's from a public Twitter or something post.
Yeah.
Okay. So it should be a Twitter post.
But the reason why I bring up like how strong Spider-Man is,
Yeah,
I'm
he's
talking
underestimated.
about Peter Parker Spider-Man,
Yes.
He
Not-
goes back a lot.
not
Fights.
Spider-Man 2099, not Spider-Man Noir, not Miles Morales.
Yes.
The original Peter Parker is because there is a line that says between Dr. Octavius and Peter Parker, when Dr. Octavius takes over his body and Peter Parker's subconscious is still in his head but trapped there, Dr. Octavius punches, I think,
Scorpion.
Scorpion.
Punches
And-
his jaw off.
I thought he punched his whole head off.
No, it's his jaw. He punches his jaw off.
And then the conversation goes as is, holy crap, what the F
Yeah.
did I just do?
Yeah, and he realizes that this whole time, it's not that he's saying you're the strongest being that I know of. It's because he didn't realize this whole time he was getting hit as hard as he was, and that was a pulled punch. He never like Octavius is like, oh my goodness, Peter Parker's been pulling his punches with me all this time. I know the one you're talking about. It was during the... Sorry about that. Yeah, it was during the Superior Spider-Man comics. Because that's when Octavius had taken over his mind. And that suit was pretty cool, too. That was a pretty cool suit. There's a lot of nice suits. There's some weird suits. The ones that kind of looks like the green and black Tron, even though I love green. But the green and black Tron-looking Spider-Man suit that was like a stealth suit that he had a couple years ago. I'm not a fan of that one. Of course, the infamous, for people who are avid players of the games, the infamous time when he was in the Fantastic Four and he had a blue suit and a bag over his head. That's a great Spider-Man suit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Paper
yeah.
bag over the head.
Sure.
The Amazing Bag Man.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the suits, not all of them, in some of those versions, he gets a kick me sign on the back of his suit too.
A what?
A kick me sign on the back too.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we can also talk about like other superheroes too. Not just Spider-Man, but others.
Well, let's keep it in the Spider-Man theme. So how about we talk about some of his villains?
Oh, I
Okay.
was going to suggest that next.
Okay, so why don't we go into what we were mentioning about, and even though we've only seen the trailer and don't know too much about it, let's talk about the new Kraven the Hunter movie.
Yeah. From what I gather, they changed some of his origin to the point where,
They kind of made it similar to Parker's.
yeah, he gets bit by a tiger that's been
Lion.
that he's been tested on.
And its blood drips into his wounds, according to the trailer.
His blood drips into his wounds while he's laid out, I think bleeding or something.
Yeah,
Something or other happens. He
it's
gets
not a
hurt.
magic potion like the comics. So
Yeah.
Well, of course,
It's a little bit more realistic in a sense.
Of course, the
like-
90s TV series did something similar too, where Kraven had a serum that turned him into Kraven the Hunter, wasn't it?
But that's what
the-
he
the
was
comics,
just
the
talking.
potion.
Okay.
Yeah, the potion. Yeah.
But there's the way that they're doing it is the potion is already in the tiger, not
Lion.
tiger, lion,
Yeah.
and it's there's a thing where that's what influences what he wears
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
represent that lion.
Yeah, and it seems like towards the end of the trailer, he will eventually get the classic lion head vest that he has in the comics. Now, originally in the comics, he wore it as a symbol of, hey, I killed this creature, this is my trophy. But it seems like the way he is in the trailer, it seems like he's more akin to animals rather than hunting animals, and he's the rabid killer, the savage, precise, tactical killer.
Well,
You
didn't
know,
he get,
hunting
like-
with obsidian knives and things like that, which is badass.
Didn't he get more and more savage over time too? Then that was one of the
Over time, yes,
Yeah,
he
that's
does.
what
He
concerned
does
me.
Well,
become more savage. Yeah,
In this, he's more of an anti-hero.
exactly. Yeah, they're really not making him out to be. I mean, other than the fact that he is murdering in mass, they're really making him out to be like you want to root for him.
So kind of like what they did with Venom and what they did with Morbius. And,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're taking a bad guy, turning them into an anti-hero. And don't get me wrong, Venom in the comics did become an anti-hero. Morbius in the comics did become an anti-hero. But they're starting them off that way rather than having them have their villainous origins.
Something along the lines. I didn't think it was as bad as people said, but I can still see some of the criticisms. What did you think of the Morbius movie?
Morbius?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people lauded it because of the bad CGI, but honestly, I thought it was a good movie. It felt kind of forced with the whole thing with Vulture at the end, but I liked it still.
Yeah. I can see some of the criticism, but I also enjoyed it at the same time.
Yep.
Well, there's what about the games? The Spider-Man games.
Oh, they're fun. I enjoy them.
I still Shattered Dimensions is my favorite.
Yeah.
Above all others, even though there was a game that sequeled that focused mainly on Amazing Spider-Man in 2099, I would say Shattered Dimensions is like my top 3 Spider-Man games. Now, understand, folks, I am not a Sony player. Not that I don't mind playing Sony. I've played it in the past. As you mentioned, I borrowed his PS3 for a time. I used to have a PS2.
And I have the newest one for PC. I'm not going to stream it because of how I have to play it on low quality. I'm not going to.
Yeah, and I've played it on a PS4 before. I have nothing against Sony. It's fine. I don't believe in the console wars. Play what you want to play. But I haven't personally played the newer Spider-Man games, so I can't sit here and say that they're better or I like them, so on and so forth. I know that they look amazing and they have some amazing options for suits and whatnot. All I can go is off what I've played. So if what I played, the 3 best games, at the top is Shattered Dimensions. Right after that is Ultimate Spider-Man for the PS2, and then right under that is Amazing Spider-Man 2 for the PS2. There you go.
Yeah. Soren, how about you? Your favorite Spider-Man games? Come over here and speak up if you need to talk into the thing louder.
Okay.
Tell us what your favorite Spider-Man game you've played is.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you just think about it for a couple minutes?
Okay. That's perfectly fine. My favorites, I do love the new one. I have it on PC. Fighting with my computer to play it is a bit of a letdown, so it's like down a point from that, but it's fun to play.
My computer actually runs it better than yours does.
Which is crazy. It's weird. It runs that, but it won't record.
Yeah.
I'd say that. Ultimate Spider-Man is one of my favorites. I go back and play it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say Spider-Man 2 below that.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. Because...
For PS2, not the new one coming out. I haven't played it yet.
Yeah. Here's the thing. The Amazing Spider-Man 2, for the longest time, if you wanted to play a game and know what it was like to be Spider-Man, that was the game you played. Just like if you wanted to play a game and know what it was like to be a Hulk, you played Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction. Just like if you wanted to play a game and knew what it was like to play Batman, you played any of the Arkham games, especially Arkham Knight. Okay? Those are the games that were pinnacle that let you know what it was like to be the character. Okay? And for me, even though the Amazing Spider-Man 2 was that pinnacle, for me, Shattered Dimensions became it. Because it really lets you experience all facets.
Or not Amazing Spider-Man 2, just Spider-Man 2. Amazing Spider-Man 2 was on the PS3, and it was based off the Amazing Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland.
Okay, so there was 2 PS2 games. One was called Amazing Spider-Man. Bruce Campbell voiced in it.
No, that was Spider-Man.
It was just called Spider-Man?
Yeah, Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2.
Okay, what's the sequel to that called?
Spider-Man 2.
Okay, correction. Spider-Man 2 is my number 3 slot. I thought it was called Amazing Spider-Man. My bad. Spider-Man 2 is my slot. It's the one that Bruce Campbell was your narrator voice in.
Yeah.
That one. That was my number 3, or not number 2 slot, number 3 slot. Yeah.
That's the one with, they wanted to get Tobey Maguire to do Spider-Man.
No,
but
they got him.
they got him?
Yeah, he did all the Sam Raimi Spider-Man games.
But this isn't Sam Raimi I'm talking about.
No, the game that was based off the movies loosely.
Oh, yeah, the games that were based on the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was Bruce Campbell that was doing the voice.
No, he never voiced Spider-Man.
No, Bruce Campbell didn't voice Spider-Man. Bruce Campbell was your narrator. He was the guy that talked during the game. He wasn't the voice of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, when you played these 2 Spider-Man games we're talking about, which were the first 2 big ones for PlayStation 1 and 2.
He did 3 also.
Okay, well, I'm just talking about those 2, damn it!
Okay.
Okay? When you went to go do the tutorial, Bruce Campbell was talking to you. As Bruce Campbell. Which was hilarious. Because it was totally meta and fourth wall breaking.
Yeah.
Okay? And if you kept messing up, he would insult you over and over and over again.
Wasn't the first line being, hey, they brought me back to narrate this game, and the first thing I'm going to have you do is jump off of a roof.
Something along those lines. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I remember the first one, the tutorial. He's like, "Go ahead, jump." It's like, what? You do everything I tell you?
Yeah.
It's like, don't worry, I won't tell you anything bad. And then you do it, and it's like, pull your web, man.
Or he's eating a sandwich, like one of those things, like too much mustard.
Yep.
But Bruce Campbell is awesome anyways, and I could probably go into like some history about him.
Oh, he's good. We're not going to go too far into
that. Matter
that.
of fact, since we're talking about Spider-Man, and things around Spider-Man, production-wise or whatever, like he's one of my favorite cameos in any Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Oh, they brought him back in the new Doctor Strange movie too. Did you see that? Because Sam Raimi directed the newest Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Bruce Campbell was in that. He's in almost every Sam Raimi movie. So.
Well, that's because Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi
they're good friends.
friends.
Yeah.
And they work so close together on the Evil Dead movies and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Also with Michael, or the guy that played in Burn Notice, that created Burn Notice.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name, but you're talking about. Here's a question. Considering all the powers, now I know there's pros and cons to this. All other powers aside, what would you prefer? Internal or external webbing? Now, keep in mind, it is assumed that you're smart enough and have the resources to maintain the external webbing that wraps around. As I was saying, so it's assumed that you would have the capability, the knowledge, and the materials to maintain having external webbing, making the cartridges, so on and so forth. But, keeping in mind with the internal webbing, it could go as crazy as what I talked about before where you release it all, or it can also, like the movies with Tobey Maguire, be attached to your mental state that if you doubt or fall too deep into depression, that it might not work. So there's good and bad to go with it. So the question is, which would you do?
Well, thinking that you're going to have to carry the web solution all the time, and there's a chance of it running out. That's a big no. Because I've seen so many different Spider-Man movies, cartoons that have...
Where he runs out of the webbing.
Exactly, and he's like, crap.
Or like his web shooters get damaged.
Yeah. And then with the whole thing about the organic web, there's times where it's linked to your mental state, and it's just, you can't use it.
I could see have the internal, like if you have the internal webbing, have web shooters as a backup because you never know if like something will drown you.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking if you could somehow choose, like you make it internally, okay, but if you could also have the knowledge to have a set of web shooters in case you get to that point where you're severely depressed.
Yeah, because like there's always a chance that something you do could make you depressed, or like something happens to where you're too bummed out to...
Exactly.
And that's the thing with the 90s Spider-Man, his webbing was organic.
No, it wasn't.
No,
Hold on, don't interrupt me for 1 second.
Okay.
The reason why I said it's organic is because he used his own blood to create the web.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, organically, okay, hold on a second. None of the webbing is artificial. Now, I've never read a comic where any of the webbing was ever anything but organically made. It's always been organic because it was always synthesized from actual spider webbing and or, like you said, DNA. So it's always organic. Okay? But the 90s one, what you're saying is he took his own blood along with the spider strands and all that to figure it out. Yes, I get that.
Well, there was one version which it's a lot newer. It's a Disney retell of Spider-Man. And this is where he is invited to go to that private school, and I forget what it was.
Is that the one where he's with friends and all that, and like North Star and so on and so forth? Okay. Okay.
And that's the one where he actually creates the webbing out of just chemicals.
So it's just synthetic.
It's not organic at all.
Oh, okay. I've never seen that, so I stand corrected. Okay.
But the 1990s Spider-Man, when he's creating his web shooters, he takes his own blood to create the webbing. And he even talks about how he creates it.
Oh, okay.
And that's one of the cool things about it. Like, he probably could do the webbing himself without the web shooters, but there was no spot for it to come out.
Yeah. On a completely unrelated note, I'm kind of glad Spider-Man doesn't shoot his webs like actual spiders do.
Oh, shush.
They made a joke about that in Far From Home, which is kind of funny.
Okay, here's the thing. I've got to say, now, if you've never seen this, please look it up. Okay, one of my favorite versions of Spider-Man, beyond Iron Spider, beyond 2099, beyond Armored Spider, Man Spider.
Oh.
And him in the 90s animated show was awesome. When they did the whole different their version of their Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was cool.
that the one where Peter turned into Spider-Man?
Yes, he was 6-armed.
Yeah.
And he had he had 4 extra arms that didn't have the suit on them. They just came outside of his suit, and he would turn into this big, like, were-spider monster thing hybrid.
They actually had an alternate, that was actually an alternate outfit in Amazing Spider-Man for PS3.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
They actually got him fixed during that episode, or like
a couple episodes later.
Yeah. But it actually branched a new timeline, which one of the comics followed. And there was he got semi-cured, but his body wasn't cured. Like his brain was cured, but
could he control himself in the man-spider form?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But he couldn't revert back.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, that's a trade-off.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Smart Hulk, you know. It's like you get the whole body of the Hulk, but the mind of Banner type thing.
Yeah. And that was a cool one that I just got reminded of when you were talking about Man Spider.
Yeah, wasn't Spider-Man one of the longest ones to last in Marvel Zombies too? Like before he got turned or something?
He was, but he eventually succumbed, just like all the others.
Yeah, I think it was him and Wolverine were the last ones, weren't they?
Oh, yes. And another version. Yeah. There's another story arc called War of the Hulks. It's a 4-issue arc, if you ever look it up. Okay? And during this time, they were on a SHIELD helicarrier, and an experiment or something went off that exposed everybody to gamma radiation, made a bunch of soldiers turn into Red Hulks, and there was 4 superheroes. Wolverine, Cyclops, Iceman, and Spider-Man, 5, and Thor were all on the ship. Okay, they all became Hulks. Okay, and the cool thing about Spider Hulk is that he was the most intelligent, and him and Thor Hulk were trying to fight these Red Hulk soldiers while near the Smithsonian, and Spider-Hulk was going around trying to slowly read the names of the fossils, and he goes, Diplodocus. And Thor goes, it is time to fight the enemy. And Thor's getting ready to fight, and then Spider-Hulk turns around and clocks Thor in the back of the head, and he goes, no fight here. No destroy Diplodocus.
That's funny. Like you remember it enough. It was important.
How about the Spider Wars? Have you read that comic?
Yes, it's been a while, but I have. I think. Remind me, please refresh me.
Okay, Spider Wars was a comic as well as a portion of the Disney Spider-Man that had I forget. No, it was the one with Drake Bell as Spider-Man doing the voice for it.
Okay.
And it was during the Agent Spider thing.
Agent Venom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where Venom gets he gets adopted by S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes,
and he becomes S.H.I.E.L.D's...
And J. Jonah Jameson's son is the one to use him, and they keep him controlled with timed uses of the symbiote and some sonics when needed to keep him under control.
Yeah, but then he ended up starting to control the symbiote on his own.
Yes, it took time, but yeah.
And that's the one where Spider-Man voluntarily joined S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
And it was somewhere in that where Ben Parker, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, the Iron Spider, I forget his name, and as well as Venom and some other Spider-Man clones ended up fighting other Spider-Man.
Gotcha. Okay.
And they realized, oh, there's other clones of Peter Parker out there that aren't good, like Ben Parker.
Yeah.
And it was a whole thing called the Spider Wars.
Okay. All right, so
yeah.
One of the things that I want to talk about is my wife's favorite Spider-Man. started off as Ben Parker, Peter Parker, changed his name to Ben Parker, then changed his name to the one that we mostly know him by as Ben Reilly, the Scarlet Spider. Absolutely her favorite Spider-Man. And in her opinion, and if you look at the comics, it hints that it is a possibility, he's the actual Peter Parker, and Peter Parker is the clone.
Because they're not sure who is which.
Exactly. Now, of course, the way that it's drawn, we know otherwise, but we like to think otherwise than that. Alright, so, for the end of this video, something I'd really, really like to see, we would all really love to see, who is your favorite Spider-Man? What's your favorite costume? Which is your favorite movie? What's your favorite story arc? Please, put it in the comments below and let us know.
And with that being said, I'm Zach.
I'm John.
I'm Matt.
I'm Samurai.
And I'm Lexi.
And until next time, swing your webs.
Anytime.
Anytime, any place, anywhere. Hit the like button. Swing over to the subscribe button. Swing back over to the bell notification button.
Should you hit the buttons with your webbing?
Yes. All with the webbing.
Yes.
Just
Impact webbing.
With your natural webbing that you have.
Impact webbing.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
And see you later.
and we'll see you next time on the Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yep. Lexi, tell them how they should subscribe.
Stick your web